Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Gyan Bhakti. We are currently exploring the scripture Mysticism of Srimad Bhagavatam. Commentaries by my worshipful Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayananda ji Maharaj, narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilanand. So in yesterday's episode, we had covered the rainy and autumn season in Vrindavan, and today let us go deeper and enjoy the mystical meaning. This poetic description of the rainy and autumn season in Vrindavan is a highly metaphorical representation of the experience of samadhi, superconsciousness, when the soul begins to commune with the God within. When most of the subtle impurities of the mind have been removed and the unconscious is free of the burden of impure impressions, the mind now becomes relaxed and consciousness expands like a blossoming lotus. The world is then viewed by a devotee from a totally different angle. It becomes a thrilling open scripture where every perception and situation inspires an awareness of the divine presence. We start to see God in everything, in creatures, in plants, in animals, in ourselves. From a mystical point of view, the joyous rainy season that ushers in a clear, calm, and peaceful atmosphere in autumn represents what Raja Yoga describes as Dharma Megha. Dharma Megha means the cloud of virtue and its effects upon an aspirant's personality. When one has generated impressions of samadhi or superconsciousness, those sublime impressions gather in the unconscious like clouds of virtue. They bring about clarity of intellect, drown and dissolve remaining negative impressions, and effect a marvelous transformation in one's personality. So we must keep this process going till that becomes more sustainable. Our samadhi should become more habitual, and then the Dharma Megha comes in and destroys the remaining impressions, impure impressions also. When clouds pour down nectarine rain, they allay the suffering caused by the terrible summer heat. Similarly, when Dharma Megha gathers in our heart, nectar begins to flow, and the sufferings caused by innumerable births are quickly removed. Then, blessed by the gentle autumn breeze of devotion, our heart becomes fertile and yields the harvest of spiritual attainment. And that is why, as human beings, this should be our foremost duty, our foremost goal, to connect with that spirit that has created us. In fact, we are that. Thou art that, Tattvam Asi. That is the meaning of this wisdom of these Vedas that we are studying in different ways. When we study them in Upanishads, we get a lot of intellectual power, knowledge that guides us on this path. When we go into Bhakti, we enjoy the nectarine taste of devotion that increases our spiritual effort, and all dimensions of our life start to improve with this. So this is the essence of this, and let's move to the beautiful episode, the divine melody of Krishna's flute. So when that flute plays, everybody is mesmerized. Delighted by the cool, clear autumn, Krishna, Balram, and the cowherd boys drove their cattle to the forest to graze. At that time of the year, Vrindavan was specially beautiful. The gentle breeze carries fragrance from the flowers that intoxicated the bees and all living beings. Birds in great numbers sang among the branches. Rivers, lakes, and mountains all resounded with the joyous sounds of the season. So when Krishna entered Vrindavan, he began to play his flute. As that enchanting melody began to flow through the woods, the minds of the gopis or cowherdesses who were doing their chores in the village soared to where Krishna was playing that divine music. That music mesmerizes everybody. Although far away, those profound devotees were able to use their purified mental vision to see all that Krishna did in the mystic groves of Vrindavan. In other words, their imagination became so intense that they thought they were physically there with Krishna, even though they were far away. Completely absorbed in divine love, the gopis lifted their voices in song, describing the elegance of Krishna's presence. This is called the Gopi Geet, which is done in Sanskrit and Hindi and is very profound. But here Swamiji so lovingly has converted it in English and given us the mystical meanings. So those of us who can't read Hindi and Sanskrit can also enjoy this nectar. So it's called the Gopi Geet, which comes from the pure sentiments of these cowherdesses, gopis, who are connecting to Krishna. It says, the greatest fulfillment of the eyes is to behold Shri Krishna playing on the flute, while casting his loving glance in all directions, and to see the two divine brothers, Balarama and Krishna, singing like perfect players on a stage, adorned with mango leaves, peacock feather, and lovely flowers, encircled by their adoring cowherd companions. Then the gopis say, how fortunate is that bamboo flute which drinks to its heart's content the nectar flowing from Sri Krishna's lips. The nectar that should belong to us alone. Look how the streams that nourish the bamboo are thrilled, and the bamboo trees themselves weep with joy to find their child enjoying the grace of the Lord. And so when the child succeeds, the parents are happy. So look at the imagination of how the bamboo trees are blessing this little flute who has eventually reached God's lips. How glorious is the soil of Vrindavan that has been graced by the lotus feet of Shri Krishna. See how the peacocks dance at the sound of the flute, and how all creatures on Govardhan mountain stand motionless, ceasing all activity, because that music is beyond everybody's imagination. How blessed are the female deer who listen to the flute and worship Krishna with their loving gaze. See how heavenly goddesses in their aerial cars hover above as they listen to that melody, they swoon, and from their hair comes a shower of beautiful flowers. Drinking the divine melody of Krishna's flute through the cups of their erect ears, the cows and calves stand motionless, unable to suckle, with tears of joy falling from their eyes. So imagine the beauty. The calves are enjoying the flute music more than sucking their mother's milk. See how the birds in the trees become still like statues, listening to only that melody with unwinking eyes. Surely they must be sages who seek only the fruit of enjoying the sight and sound of Shri Krishna. Hearing Mukunda's enchanting song, Mukunda is another name of Lord Krishna. Even the rivers are thrilled slackening their speed towards their beloved ocean because they don't want to leave Krishna, so they're slowing down. They stop to clasp both of Krishna's feet in the arms of their waves, embracing and decking them with lotuses. Witnessing Sri Krishna sporting in the forest of Vrindavan, a rain cloud filled with love hovers above, offering its body as a shield from the sun, showering its beloved with rains of soft petals. Thus sang the gopis, the cowherd maidens, whose hearts were overflowing with love as they enjoyed mystic communion with divine Krishna. Although far away, their eyes of love allowed them to share everything done by their beloved friend in the forest of Vrindavan. So how beautiful, how profound, how full of devotion and bhakti. So if we flow our feelings in that direction, we will also nourish those same sentiments. With this, we conclude our satsang for today, and in tomorrow's satsang, we will continue with the mystical meaning. This is Swami Nikhilanand. Om Tat Sat.